Hello everyone and welcome to today's workshop on E-invoice API. My name is Abhishek and I'll be conducting the workshop today. Many of our customers are experiencing similar E-invoice related errors which are often caused by incomplete or incorrect input. The purpose of today's workshop is to raise the awareness about the E-invoice to ensure smooth transaction. So let's start with our today's workshop. Under master, there is a provision of item, and within the item master there is a field name as item number in the description. So there are few things which need to be taken care of, such as the item number and the short description does not contain any kind of special character in it. If you do so, system won't be allowing you to do e-invoice on the government portal. Also, user must need to ensure that the character limit for the short description, item short description, should not be exceed beyond 300 characters, else it will result in e-invoice errors. If any of our customers are having any special characters in their item number or the description, they can provide us the bulk data in an Excel format with the following columns, such as the current item number which are already exist in the system, the new item number which is required, and the new item short description. So through the backend we can able to assist you to update those data through an Excel format. Moving to the next field, that is the default unit of measurement. So unit of measurement must be valid one. Many of our customers are referring to the invalid unit of measurement. So for more information you can access to the e-invoice portal, where you can able to find out the actual valid unit of measurement. If you are having invalid unit of measurement, you can ask your admin to change it, and if transaction have already occurred for that specific item number, then it only be allowed to do change through the backend. So again, user can able to register the service by providing an Excel file where you can provide us the item number which is already exist and the new required unit of measurement, so that we can able to help you to upload that data in the item master. Moving to the next field, that is the HSN. So we have a separate HSN master where user must need to ensure that the HSN code doesn't contain any kind of spaces in between or at the last. User must need to ensure that the HSN code must be valid as per the government portal. So you can refer to the government e-invoice portal for the valid HSN code. Moving to the next master, that is the customer. There are few things such as the contact address. So user must need to ensure that the contact address must be split into 3 different fields instead of one single or using the only the first 2. User must need to ensure the character limit as well, that the complete address should not exceed with 100 character limit. This is also applicable in customer location master. As you all are aware about the customer, that while creating customer, system also create the customer location master. So the whatever the data address you are mentioning over the customer master, the same will get reflect in your customer location. But if the location is already exist, and if you are updating the address in the customer master, then user must need to ensure to click on that specific customer location and update that field as well individually. Okay, so it won't be reflecting changes by doing in the customer master. You have to go to the customer location master and update it whatever the valid address it is. Also, there is one more important thing, that is the pin code. So pin code must not contain any kind of spaces and it should be valid 6-digit Indian pin code. Also, for the export customers, like if we talk about the software which are situated in India, and if you are exporting outside the India, then user must need to refer to the code as pin code as 0 or 6 times 9. Okay, so if you have export customer and you are not aware about the pin number, then you can update as 0, single digit 0, or the 6 times 9. Then the country, state and city. For local customers means within India. If I'm talking about the India, then for the local customer, country, state and city fields are mandatory. Without these fields, you cannot be able to generate e-invoice. Also, we have a state masters as well in the ERP, where we have a provision of state code. So if the user has defined invalid state code in the state master, then also you will face e-invoice related errors. Then if the customer belongs to the outside India, like if you are exporting and the customer is belong to outside India, then only country is mandatory. Rest two field, that is the state and the city, can be left blank. As I had mentioned, that is state master, we have a separate state master. So along with that state master, we have a state code as well. So by default, we have provided the state code in the system. But if in case any of our customer is facing state related issues, then you must need to ensure that the state code is valid in the state master. Also, currency need to be taken care of. Like if the customer belongs to the outside India, then the valid currency must be selected in the customer master. Then talking about the GST registration type, if it is set to registered, then user must need to update the GST number and the valid GST number, and if the GST is unregistered, then user can keep the GST number as blank. The whatever the scenarios we have discussed till now regarding the customer master is also applicable for the customer location master. Okay, so whatever the changes you are going to do in the customer master, all are applicable for the customer location. So user also have to update all those detail in the customer location as well. If we talk about the transaction part, that is the sales order. So under the sales order, we are having a consignee option. Okay, so while doing a transaction, you have a consignee option where whatever the address we have pulled from the customer location will be shown over here. So let's say if any kind of correction user are doing in the master, that master will not get reflect in your existing order transaction. So for that reason, user must need to amend that sales order which are incorrect and has to update all those valid details which we had discussed for the customer master. So all the validation rule such as valid GST number, state code, PIN code, country, city and currency must also be followed in consigning option. Then talking about the customer item number and the description. So again, here are few limitations such as character limits up to 300 character limits. You cannot exceed 300 limits within the customer description. Okay, And also you have to ensure that the customer item number and the description both should not be similar. It should be always unique, else you will face an e-invoice related errors. Also, while applying any additional charges, like if we talk about the rounding off, specific to rounding off, so user only need to select the rounding off ledger from the default option. Like we have already given a default option of rounding off. User must need to select that option only while doing the rounding off. Okay. If you create any new ledger in the account ledger master, and if you are selecting that ledger in the drop down, then again you will face an error in the e-invoice. Moving to the next transaction, that is the invoice part. If many of our customers are referring to the manual invoice numbering, okay, few customers are having auto generation code in the invoice, and few of our customers are having a manual provision. So if you have manual invoice number provision, then user must need to ensure that the invoice number doesn't contain any spaces in between or the last. Also, the customer whose software are installed on local server, it is essential to ensure that the internet connection is active and stable, because many times whenever our local customer, the customer who's having ERP installed on their local server, facing such kind of issue because of poor internet connections. So in that case, user must need to ensure the server must be having enough internet connection and the active one, stable one. Talking about the invoice part, like coming back to the invoice part. So here there is a part field name as transporter. So if the transporter is registered in the supplier master, then whatever the validation rules which we had discussed, that is the GST number, then the address splitting in 3 different fields, all those are applicable for the supplier master as well, and that supplier will be shown in this drop down if the supply type is set to the transporter. Also, in the supplier master we have a provision of transporter ID. So if the customer is GST registered, if the transporter is GST registered, then user can update transporter ID as GST number. But if not, then transporter ID must need to be mentioned in the supplier master. Also, one more important part is shipping method. So we have given a shipping method drop down. So if user is selecting shipping method as by road, then vehicle number in invoice is mandatory. Okay, and while updating the invoice vehicle number, user again need to ensure that it should not contain any kind of spaces in between or at the last. There is a provision of dispatch document number. So for that field also, user should not kept as blank or any kind of character like hyphen. Distance in kilometer, we have a field of distance in kilometer. So it must be mentioned accurately based on your pin code and the customer pin code. So that distance in kilometer must need to get updated in this invoice transaction. Then in some cases, there is one scenario where if the IRN generated, if we click on the IRN generate option in the ERP, then sometimes system get due to poor internet connection, you can say due to poor internet connection at your end or at the portal end, system won't be able to generate IRN properly. Okay, so IRN may get generated on the government portal but fail to update in OurSys ERP, and there could be multiple reasons for it. So earlier user were contacting us for such kind of issues, but now we already have a provision in the system which many of our users are not aware about. That is the update IRN button. So as you can see, there is a provision of update IRN, where by just clicking on that button, system will fetch the IRN details from the portal to the ERP. Okay, so sometimes if it get failed, then you just have to click over the update IRN button, and just by clicking on it, the latest IRN details from the portal will get updated in the OurSys ERP automatically. This ensures the system stays synchronized without manual intervention. Talking about the export invoice part. So there are few queries, there are few clarification which we want to give to our users, that in the export as well, there are few fields such as the shipping address 123. As you can see on my screen, there is a shipping address which is mandatory. Okay, so user has to mention the shipping address of your port, not your customer. Okay, so under the export detail, user must need to update the shipping address by splitting into 3 different fields. Okay, then pin code must not be having any spaces. Then there is another option of port of loading which must need to be specified, and the state and the city. So whatever the part we are covering which is mandatory over here is specific to the port side. Okay, so whatever the port related details you are going to mention, you have to mention over here in this export detail option. Okay, then whatever the part we have covered till now, that is talking about the customer master, or if it is talking if we had talked about the item master. So whatever we had talked till now, we had discussed till now, is applicable also for the credit note and the debit note. Okay, few of our customers are generating service invoice in the ERP, which is a part of service order, and few of our customers are also generating the supplementary invoice. So for all those customers, whatever the part we have covered till now is applicable for all those transactions as well. Okay, there is one more update that is related specific to e-way bill. So in e-way bill number, we have a provision of e-way bill cancellation in the ERP, but somehow if user fail to cancel the e-invoice through the ERP, e-way bill through the ERP, then many of our users are cancelling the e-way bill from the e-way bill portal. So in that case, user has to manually remove the e-way bill number and the e-way bill related details such as the e-way bill date, e-way bill valid from and valid to. All those e-way bill related details must need to be removed manually by the user. Okay, sometimes user may face issue for the IRN cancellation because of e-way bill as well. So if the e-way bill is not cancelled, is not marked as cancelled in the ERP, then it won't be allowing you to cancel the IRN through the ERP. Okay, so it is mandatory to cancel e-way bill first and then the e-invoice. So thank you for all your participation. It was a pleasure to have you all, and you can connect us to our support for any detailed information. We will shortly share you the workshop video link and the PDF for your reference. That's my time. Thank you. Have a great day.